Hello, everybody. I'm trying to get this live stream going. I'm going to be doing the Essex County Express for the League of Extraordinary Investigators and hoping that we do some catching up to the rest of the league. We've been doing fairly poorly, just a turn of events that just kept hitting us for experience points and everything else. Anyways, we have 2 physical trauma, 1 mental trauma. That's what we're starting with. We've also added 2 tablet tokens to the bag. There's an elder thing, 1 cultist token, 2 skull tokens, and then the rest of the stuff. So our chaos bag is looking a little rough right now. I'm not too worried about the chaos bag portion of it. What I am worried about is during some test runs of this scenario, um, there's a lot of locations that when you go in, you just take damage if you don't have cards to discard. And this deck doesn't tend to have a lot of cards. They're going to work for that kind of thing. So the damage has been an issue. The speed situation, getting to the front of the train has not been an issue in my playthroughs, but I have been defeated by damage on most occasions. So I don't have high hopes for winning this one at all. I'm just honestly hoping for a couple of experience points, and well, it's needed. It's necessary. So far in the league, I think I have a total of maybe 5 experience points altogether, or maybe even 4. And this is like the 4th or 5th scenario. So things are not going well for skids. It's unfortunate that there's so few experience in this campaign to begin with. But anyways, I'm just rambling here. I'm setting up the scenario. If you haven't seen the league playthroughs, they're live streamed, so I don't edit them like I do with my other playthroughs. I also don't explain a lot of the stuff. I'm just assuming that you know what's happening here. I've got 3 engine cars, and I'm picking a random one, and then also the train cars. We draw 6 randomly, and we place them in a row like this. So there's 6. We don't know what they are, and hopefully they're not terribly bad. Hopefully we get a victory one. There's not a whole lot of experience points in this one unless you draw 2 really difficult enemies, and I don't really foresee myself defeating 2 of them. At least not in the time given, and with my trauma and all that. So things are going to be difficult for Skids for sure. Let's see if he is able to complete this. We actually are starting here with the Terran Reality, 4 Doom Threshold, and starting with Act 1A. All the locations are in place. Skids gets to be on the first train car, which does not have the forced effect. This is the passenger car where after you enter the passenger car, you have to discard cards from your hand or take 2 damage. Unfortunately for the Mythos, I don't have to do that right now. It starts with 1 clue. Let's draw our opening hand. We'll mulligan, and then we'll begin the game. Lone Wolf, Flashlight, that's good. So far, so good. Bandolier is not necessary on my opening hand. Watch this, and Emergency Cash. I definitely want resources, so these 2 are important, Flashlight and Lone Wolf. I don't need a weapon early on. I can evade most things. I do want to kill that victory monster at some point, so I'm going to just redraw Bandolier, and there's another watch this. That's fine. I could always use more resources. We'll reshuffle this. We'll shuffle the encounter deck, and then we'll get started. We'll shuffle the encounter deck one more time. Make sure it's nice and mixed up. Hopefully, here's what I'm going for. I'm going for speed. I'm going to try to go train car to train car very quickly. I'm going to try and evade enemies. The cultists gain doom, so I do plan on killing them, unless it's not necessary. But the most important thing of all is just getting to the front early. I do need a weapon eventually to kill these bigger monsters, but having a lot of resources is by far the most important thing in this deck, and I have the hand to do so. So here we go. Let's go ahead and begin. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the flashlight into play. Spend 2 resources. That'll give us 3 flashlight charges. And then I will emergency cash for 3 resources, putting me at 6. I just want to move out of this location so that I have some wiggle room. So that's why I'm doing this so quickly. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to spend a charge from the flashlight to reduce the shroud to 2. And that would put me at a 3 to a 2. So I'm going to spend 2 resources to use Streetwise and boost me to a 6. So we're going 6 to a 2 to investigate. That's a -2. That is good enough. So we gain this clue. And that ends our turn. We will draw a card. And it's on the lamb. We gain a resource. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I just remembered I haven't mentioned my dogs, the savage beasts that live at the end, do make noise sometimes. So careful if you're listening on headphones. Careful with your ears. And I'm sorry. So that ends our turn. We got our resources through our card. We will put 1 doom on the agenda and draw our first encounter card. And it is Claws of Steam. Test 3 willpower. If you fail, take 2 damage. And you cannot move from this location this round. Okay. That's kind of annoying. 3 willpower. I don't want to take 2 damage because, you know, I already have 2 physical trauma. And I want to be able to move out of here quickly. But do I want to commit on the lamb? If I commit on the lamb, that would put me at a 4 to a 3, 5, 6. 6 to a 3. I mean, if I commit, watch this. This can really help me get ahead of things. But that's okay. You know what? We won't commit it. We'll probably fail and take 2 damage. We'll figure it out. So here we go. 2 to a 3. -1. Not good enough. So that means that we take 2 damage, putting us already at 4. And we can't move out of here this turn. So this basically means that we're going to have to draw cards this turn. It's not the worst thing that can happen to us. So we'll go ahead and pay a resource. We'll play on the lamb, or lone wolf, sorry. And then we'll spend 2 actions to draw cards. 1, 2. That ends our turn. We gain a resource and draw another card. And then Doom goes on the agenda. And it is Crypt Chill. Test 4 willpower. If I fail, I have to discard an asset. Papa, move please. I'm going to probably fail this. I'm going to go 2 to a 4. That's a -3. So I fail the Crypt Chill. And we'll go ahead and discard Lone Wolf because we got another one that has puppy. Please, come on. So we don't gain a resource from Lone Wolf because it has gone away now. So we're going to go ahead and, for our first action, we'll pay 1 resource and put another Lone Wolf into play. And now we're going to move. So now we're going to move to the train car over here. And it is a passenger car with 1 shroud and 3 clues. And after you enter, you must discard cards with at least 2 total evade or agility tokens or take 2 damage. In this case, we probably can do that. I'll discard on the lamb and watch this to avoid taking the damage. There's 3 clues here. So we spent 2 actions so far. We're going to go ahead and spend our final action to investigate. And that is going to be a 3 to a 1. That's a -1. So we gain a clue. And that ends our turn. We will now draw a card. Gain a resource. Doom goes on the agenda. The agenda will be advancing next turn. And it is a grappling horror. So it is engaged with us. I am not too concerned. Actually, that's kind of a fortuitous find. Is that how you say that? Fortuitous find? Because we can use scene of the crime to get those 2 final clues and move on. So let's go ahead and do that. Action number 1, we will spend 2 resources to play scene of the crime. Doesn't it provoke attacks of opportunity? We are engaged with an enemy, so that means that we gain 2 clues for free. Action number 2, we'll go ahead and evade this grappling hard. It's going to be a 4 to a 2. That's a 0. Grappling hard is evaded. And now we'll go ahead and move on to the next train card for our 3rd action. Train card says it's a 2, shroud, 0 clues. After you reveal dining card, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a grappling horror. This is not good because that means it's going to attack us this turn. Oh well. Okay, here it is. Another grappling horror. So this one is engaged. Do I spend 2 resources? Yeah, you know what? Never mind. Since this has come out, we're going to go ahead and spend 2 resources for Skid's ability to gain an extra action. And we're going to use that extra action to evade the grappling horror. So that's going to be a 4 to a 2. I just can't afford to take much damage or horror. That's a 0. He is evaded. Turn ends. He readies and engages us again. I'm not too concerned about that. He readies. I draw a card and gain a resource. We'll go ahead and put a doom on the agenda, which advances the agenda. The agenda says that we have to remove the leftmost location from the game. That goes there. And discard all clues controlled by investigators. Go ahead and do that there. It's the 3 doom threshold for the next one. And that's it. So we just continue and move on. So we're going to go ahead and evade this grappling hard. It's going to be a 4 to a 2. Oh, before I do that, Lone Wolf gets me a resource. Almost forgot. Now we'll go ahead and evade 4 to a 2. Yeah. A 0. So grappling heart is evaded. And the beasts are going wild. Okay. We move to the next train card. This is a tree shroud, 2 clues per investigator. It says after you enter, you must discard cards from your hand with at least 2 total willpower icons or take 2 horror. Now, I don't know how this works. Do wild icons count for that? I think they do, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We're going to go ahead and discard this. If that's a mistake, then I should have 2 horror. But please let me know when you're reviewing this video, whoever ends up reviewing this video. So, oh, I did not draw an encounter card. So I have to go back before I do this. I'm drawing an encounter card, and it's a helpless passenger, and it surges. Location to your left. Okay. Surges, so I have to be doing push into the beyond. Apologies for this mistake. I caught it before it got too bad, but I forgot to draw a card from the encounter deck. So I drew a helpless passenger, which surges. So actually, I was here. So this passenger goes there, and then I drew for the surge card, push into the beyond. That means I have to put Lone Wolf into the deck. I have to pick a card. I'm going to pick Lone Wolf. Which means that I did not gain a resource from Lone Wolf this turn. So I hope I have fixed that mistake. So we go ahead and shuffled Lone Wolf, and we discard 3 cards, double or nothing, ever vigilant, and take the initiative. So we don't take any horror from this. Now the turn begins. We evade this guy and then we move. So basically that helpless passenger, I'm not going to go back for him. He's just too far away. There's just no way I'm going to go get him. If he dies, I take a horror. I'm not too concerned about it. So we'll continue to move on. We have 2 shroud, 2 clues. We spent 1 action to evade and 1 action to move. We're gonna go ahead and use a flashlight to get this this clue. So, flashlight, shroud of 0, investigative 3, and that is a skull token. Doesn't matter, the shroud is 0, so unless it's an autofill, we get the clue. And you know what the heck, we're gonna go ahead and use another action. No, we don't need to. That'll end our turn. So turn ends, this moves in, this one readies. We draw a card and gain a resource. Put a doom on the agenda and draw an encounter card. And there's Ancient Evils. So the agenda will be moving next turn. Now we need to get this final clue. So we'll go ahead and use our last charge on the flashlight. Try and nab this final clue. And it is a skull. So it's shroud of 0, so it doesn't matter. We get the clue. That's action number 1. Action number 2, we're going to go ahead and move to this next train car. Next train car, it is a 1 shroud, 1 clue location. After you enter passenger card, discard 1 card from your hand, at least 1 question mark icon, or take 1 damage and 1 horror. I don't have any cards with question marks, so I take a damage and a horror. I have to keep an eye on my damage because it's getting there. Okay, so it's got 1 clue, so we'll go ahead and place that on there. Let's investigate. Action number 1, we'll investigate the clue. 3 to a 1, that's a skull. Current agenda is 2, which is a -2. So that's actually good enough. We gain the clue. Action number 2, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next train car. Darn, no victory point train cars at all. 2 clues, 3 shroud, 2 clues. I hope you guys can see it. I can't look at the screen. Let me just try and get a look at it. I'm not supposed to view the chat during the league because you're not supposed to help me out. Anyways, 3 shot, 2 clues. It looks like after I enter, I have to discard a card from my hand with at least 2 total investigate icons. I do not have any investigate icons in my hand, so I have to take 2 horror. That puts me dangerously close to defeat here. Ouch. But now we've got some wiggle room. Oh, apologies. I should have moved these guys. I'm making quite a few mistakes here. So I should have moved these guys last round. So now I've gone ahead and moved them. Anyways, I don't have that. I took 2 horror and yeah. I can't investigate against a 3 reliably, so I'm going to start drawing some cards. I'll draw a card as my final action. I drew a card, or I gain a clue, moved, draw a card. And it's first aid, that's good. Turn ends, these guys move 1 more over. I gain a resource, draw a card. Double or nothing. Could come in handy. Okay. 3 clue or 3 doom. Looks like the agenda advances once again. Remove the leftmost location. Helpless passenger dies. That means we take a horror. Horror. I don't say horror properly according to the great old ones. Horror. 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 There it is. And then that is it. So now it's a 4th doom threshold. We have some wiggle room here. We have to figure this out though, because there's 2 guys here, and this can get quite scary. Let's draw our encounter card, and it is Claws of Steam. It's another willpower test. Ouch. Oh, this is not good. Alright, willpower test. The test is a 3. In other words, we're going to take 2 damage. And the worst part about it is we won't be able to move from this location. If we can't move from this location, these guys are going to move in and hit us, which will kill us. That's not good. So we're going to have to commit cards to this test and just pray for the best. Otherwise, we're done for here. So, first aid, I could have used that for next turn. Watch this. That'll put us at a 4 to a 3. Not much else we can do. We'll commit 3 resources to watch this. Either way, we're going to die if we don't succeed here, I think. Alright, let's pray to the Elder God. So far, 0 victory points. 0 victory points. Oh, it's an auto fail! Wow! Okay, so the resources go away. These 2 cards go away. And we take 2 damage. Every time I have a bad pull, Thor comes out because he gets concerned that something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong, Papa. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm 1 damage and 1 horror away. Horror. Yeah. I have 3 actions, but I cannot move from here. There's not much that I can do right now. We're going to go ahead and just draw cards. Draw 1 card. And it's Hypochondria. Action number 2, draw a card. It is Adventurer. Yeah, this is pretty much done for. Action number 3, draw a card. Hey, something worth fighting for. That ends my turn. 2 grappling horrors move in. And they hit me for 2 damage. And 2 horror. Horror. I'm defeated by both damage and horror, so that means I get to pick which trauma I'm going to get. I already have 2 physical trauma, and I have 1 mental trauma. I can't afford any more mental trauma. I'd rather take the physical, so I'll take another physical trauma, and it looks like we are defeated. Let's see what the resolution says. Essex County Express. Each investigator who was defeated acquires the across space and time weakness. So we're going to get this, which says discard the top 3 cards of your deck. That goes into our deck. We get 1 experience point. Well, that's good. We get 1 experience point. Yay! But no victory points. This was a really difficult run. During my test plays, I didn't do much better. You know, there's 1 location that randomly shows up that has a victory point, but it didn't show up this time. So unfortunately, we did not do so well. We were defeated. We gained a physical trauma and 1 victory point. I'll have to go back and count the number of rounds, but regardless, it's over. The next scenario, I think we're going to do much better. Hopefully, we get at least 2 or 3 experience points in the next scenario, so we can at least get some decent cards in this deck. I haven't been able to upgrade too much because I just haven't gotten too much. But it is what it is. Thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you guys soon.